Greetings, Commanders, and welcome back to the Deep Space Carrier series here in Elite Dangerous. We're continuing on in the Space Whale this week, recovering from our mistake from last time. We left and forgot to grab ourselves a surface scanner. We found ourselves a nice, juicy 4-biology planet, only to find out that we didn't have our necessary detail surface scanner. So I have corrected the situation. We are ready to head back out into the nearby area here in our Beluga and hopefully enjoy a little bit of exploration. Let me figure out. I think maybe right here. Our Beluga has a jump range of about 50 light years, so I just need to figure out. That's way too far. I'm trying to be no more than about 10 jumps from the carrier, so actually right in here somewhere is probably pretty good. Trying to figure out the zoom key. Let's see. Let's pick this guy here. That's exactly what I needed. All right, so if you're kind of confused as to why we're in a Beluga right now, it's because this is the Deep Space Carrier series, meaning that we brought our fleet carrier out into the black. We're planning on staying out in the black and doing exploration, and because it's a carrier, we can bring a bunch of ships with us. We've brought a bunch of ships that aren't necessarily geared towards what we would normally do for exploration, because jump distance and things like that aren't really the thing we're worried about. So this is what we're doing. Hopefully we'll find ourselves some really cool exobiology or other related things. And speaking of that, I guess I'm not gonna be able to do that today. I have some things I need to monitor outside, and my outside camera is on right now, and I'm monitoring it because for reasons. So I have to have a portion of my screen dedicated to that, which I would normally use for other things. And I can't really do that this time because I need to watch the camera to make sure that nobody parks in my space. So anyways, that's that. Before we get too far into the video, I'd like to ask you to help us to reach our next major channel milestone of 10,000 subscribers by hitting that subscribe button. The number does not go up unless you actually press the button, so be sure to go ahead and do that now. You can also hit the like button to help the video be spread out to other people, so that they have a chance to watch and subscribe and do all that kind of cool stuff. And then when you're done watching this video, you can head over to the channel itself and, peruse the more than 1,700 other gaming videos that we have on the channel. They're organized into nice, neat playlists to make it easy for you to find whatever it is that you're looking for. So be sure to head over there once you're done here and find something else to watch. All right, we got 34 bodies in this system. We're overheating. One of the frustrating things about the Beluga is just the fact that no matter how much you try to engineer it, it always wants to overheat. It wants to overheat really badly. We're gonna go ahead and scan this water world. So we'll take some time out of our day to go run over to that once we're done perusing these bodies over here. Just trying to see if maybe we can find ourselves some biological signatures. Realistically, with 34 bodies in the system, what we're probably going to run into is that there is another star off in the distance, and there's a good chance that that's going to be where some of the more interesting stuff is, because that just always seems to be kind of how it works out. The stuff that's close to you ends up not having anything. Then you find a nice, juicy body with a bunch of biological sources and stuff on it, but it's like 100,000 light seconds away. And then you end up being like, oh, I guess I'm not doing that. All right, we got some geological stuff on these high metal content worlds here. It would be really nice if one of these would have a 2 biological source set up on it, but unfortunately, it does not look like we're going to get lucky this time. We have this guy here. Metal-rich body with 2 geological sources on it. Not too shabby, but still not what we're looking for. Let me see here. 289 light seconds away. That's not bad. So we got some rocky bodies here. Another geological high metal content. So yeah, I'm not getting the... I'm thinking that this gas giant here is going to... Okay, here we go. This is probably going to have like a bunch of moons nearby. Oh, maybe not. That's weird. So yeah, it's got to be one of those situations where maybe there's another star, and whatever we're looking for is going to be around. I mean, I don't know. We're up at 26 now, so it's entirely possible that this It's actually probable at this point that this one here is going to have all the rest of the bodies in it. But we'll see. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to go back and find that one that we had before because the route's not going to route it the same way, and I don't really know what system it was. I didn't write it down or anything. So we're starting from scratch, basically, on day 2 of our actual exploration of all of this stuff. That's fine. We'll move on to the next... Or actually... Oops. I forgot that we needed to go scan this water world over here. So actually, we're going to go do that. Let's get the Super Cruise Assist turned on to make it nice and easy for us to center in on this guy. We will full speed it, and I will see you once we get over closer to the planet. Alright, we are almost back. The reason I put a cut in there rather than the way I normally do it is that this particular ship did not... I did not get around to doing the Super Cruise Overdrive for this particular one. I engineered a bunch of frame shift drives with the Super Cruise Overdrive on it, but I didn't get around. There's a couple of ships that we have with us that just don't have it because I just didn't get around to it. I either ran out of materials, or I ran out of patience, or I ran out of something, and so we're going to pay for it now by having ships that don't have it. But at the same time, that's fine. It's not that big of a deal. It just changes the metrics when we do things. Oh, hold on. I need to get this guy in my fire group too. There we go. All right. So the problem that we're going to have here is we need 7 probes. I'm going to try to go there. 2, 3, 4. I don't know that I'm going to be able to... Yeah. Try to go right there and see if maybe that's just going to send it all the way around to the other side, though. Okay, we ended up getting it. Cool. All right, so we can exit out of that, target the next system en route, which is a keybind you can find in your settings, and start heading off towards the next jump. And with any luck, we'll find some exobiology in this next one. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to run Elite Observatory today because, as I said, I have to keep the camera over here on this side of the screen so that if somebody tries to move the cones that I've placed out there to prevent people from parking there, I can pause the video, run outside, and tell them to stop it. We have 2 dedicated parking spaces in the RV area that we're in right now. And one of them is right in front of the garage of the property that I'm sort of like supervising and watching and maintaining and all of that. And it's a very convenient place for people who come onto the property to park. And I need to make sure it stays open so that when my wife gets off work, she has a place to park when she gets here. So, you know, I don't want any wife aggro because she's not able to park anywhere. Makes it kind of an important task to keep on top of. Alright, 16 bodies gives us a pretty decent chance of actually finding something. So let's get out of that, hop into here. Does not look like we're going to have much in the way of actual... No high metal content this time, which, to be honest with you, I'm not that worried about because we have so much money at this point, and money is not exactly the issue of what we're worried about. More of my time now, especially when it comes to resource management, you know, money and resource management, is going to be just figuring out tritium. We have a nice hot spot where we are now in the system that our carrier's in, but I'm pretty sure we already have what we need to make the jumps for the next carrier reposition on Sunday. So mining isn't necessarily going to be that big of a priority for me this week, but starting next week... Ooh, 3 biological sources. We'll go check that out. Starting next week, we're going to have to start putting a fair bit of time into mining tritium to make sure we have enough fuel to keep moving. I say this almost every episode, but one of the big things that I'm trying to accomplish on this maiden voyage out to Colonia is to, you know, figure out the whole self-sufficiency thing. Because once we get out into the black, there won't be any stations and stuff for us to go and buy tritium when we need it. So I want to get in the habit of looking for tritium, mining tritium, having that process... Oh, that's right. That's the second time I've tried to do that. You know, just trying to make sure that we have the process down of doing it on our own. So that way, after Colonia, when we actually head out into deep, deep space and we're trying to find really cool stuff to go do, it's kind of old hat by then. So that's kind of the process of what we're trying to do right now. We have another 3,500 light seconds to get over here, so I am not going to make you sit through that again. So I will see you when we're ready to scan this one. Getting pretty close to the planet now, so we're going to go ahead and hop back in and get ready to scan this guy, find out I believe it said 3 biological sources on it, so let's go see what's available here so we can move on and land and go get ourselves some cash. So I'm a big fan of cash. Almost there. Just waiting for the surface scanner to say too fast, which indicates that we are now within range, but just moving too fast to be able to actually do the scan. So I'm just gotta pay attention. Almost there. There we go. This one's gonna require 2 probes. And unfortunately, even with my expanded probe radius, I can never get these scans done with just a single probe, so we'll just do the top and the bottom. We'll wait for it to hit, and then we'll filter through these things to kind of decide which species we want to focus on. It would be nice if I could control my... Oh, Concha and Tubus. So it looks like Tubus is pretty much all over the place, so we'll focus on the Concha and hope that the Tubus actually ends up being nearby. We'll get the Super Cruise Assist turned off so that it does not end up causing us to be flung around, which is kind of important. And then we'll approach the planet looking for nice blue spots on the light side to make it easy to find everything. I know you can't see it because I can't see it. Let's see. Okay, I got a couple of blue spots kind of hopping up now. There's one at our 12 o'clock that's relatively large compared to some of the other ones I can see. I think the YouTube compression is probably making it so that you guys can't see any of it, but hopefully you can see something. We will hop down over into this area here. Now, one of the reasons why using this particular ship is kind of ridiculous is that the landing profile for this thing is very large, and especially with this looks like it's going to be moderately rough terrain, and finding a place to put this down and using our standard skim across the ground technique that I prefer to use is going to be significantly harder in this ship than any of the other ones that we've used so far, because it's probably, I don't know if it's the biggest ship in the game, but it's definitely right up there with the cutter, and it's a big one. It's a big ship. So I'm hoping we can get lucky and find some relatively flat spaces to go set our ship down on. But nope, this looks like it's going to be... Alright, so we're going to try to come down over here and hope that maybe... Whoa. Oh, throttle. Okay, so I'm Oh, gravity? It was only 2 probes, so the gravity shouldn't be that bad here. Okay. So now I'm waiting for things to show up, and now we're looking for a spot to land. So the landing gear's down, but as I said, finding a spot for this behemoth is going... Wrong key. Finding a spot for this behemoth is going to be a challenge. I did see a blue spot pop up somewhere around over here, but... Oh, right here. Okay, here we go. Okay, we got lucky for that one. So we just need to grab this and 2 more, and then if we can find some Concha, we'll try to grab that as well. But the size of this ship is... it's hard to kind of really see how big this ship is until you get out onto a place like this and you're not stuck in the hangar. Like, this is the ship that we're flying around in. This thing is ridiculous. Like, this is ridiculous. Look how big this is. Like, just walking around this thing is unreasonable. And this is why. This right here is why I say I would love it if they did a massive update to the Beluga to make it a viable, deep space mini carrier almost. Because realistically, well, let's get our scan here while I'm running around, and then I'll talk about what I mean. And so we'll get our scan, and then I'll say what I wanted to say. Because realistically, I mean, look at the size of this. Look at the size of this thing. I mean, it's insane how big this is. And this right here is our hangar, right? Like, this is our SRV slash whatever hangar. If you turned a Sidewinder sideways, I'm pretty sure that would fit in there, right? Like, if you could make it to where you could keep this ship here up in orbit, you hop in your Sidewinder and it departs the ship from down here. Your ship stays up in orbit. The Sidewinder goes down to the planet. It has its own little SRV for if you want to do SRV related stuff. You fly around in your little small ship, and then you fly back up to here, dock with your Beluga, and off you go. How cool would that be? Or even if they just made it to where fighters have the ability to land on the ground, and I could, because I would be totally self-sufficient. It would be totally sufficient for me to be able to just take my fighter, land it on the ground, get my sample, hop back in, and use my fighter, my cheapy little fighter, to just fly around and do it that way. Like, that would be it. Like, if they did that, if they made it to where the Beluga was able to do that, I would seriously consider backtracking, getting rid of my carrier, and just taking this ship around, because this will be all I need. It will be all I need, and it would be a lot of fun for me. I think it would be a lot of fun. Like the thing I'm noticing about the carrier, which it's my experience so far is confirmed by the fact that the carrier will only jump. You can't control it. You can't really do anything with it other than say, hey, I want to go here, and then 15 minutes later you're there. The jump sequence and everything is really cool, but outside of that, you're not really controlling your carrier in any meaningful way. You're just doing that. I'm starting to think that it might be a good idea to swap over to the Concha here, because I've seen 2 patches of Concha since we looked around at that other stuff, and the Concha was the stuff that was much more concentrated, and so I don't really want to go too far and then lose this one little spot where there was Concha. So I'm thinking we may end up, because I'm pretty sure this stuff right here is what we were just looking at, right? Pretty sure this stuff right here is what we were just looking at. I mean, maybe we can kind of go this way and see if another couple of patches pop up. But I mean, there's a lot of Concha right in this area. And I don't really want to lose track of that by running off in a long distance direction outside of this little valley here, and then I end up not being able to find my way back. So I'm kind of thinking it makes sense to just abandon our first thing that we did and just grab the Concha that's here. We'll see. What about up here at the top? If there's Concha up here, which there does not seem to be, but I am seeing something that looks like it might be some more Tubus. Yeah, there's some Tubus right here. So we'll grab this, and I just gotta try to remember exactly where that Concha was. So yeah, running around with this ship, especially with the way that the ship is right now, is not the smartest thing to do. It's kind of fun. Sometimes it's fun to do things that aren't the optimal way of doing it, but at the same time, I would absolutely love it if they turned the Beluga into sort of a mini carrier. And all it would require would just be, seriously, all it would require would be just adjusting the fighter to be landable. That's it. It's the only thing they would have to do to make this. Well, no, that's not true. That's not true. Some significant changes to the infrastructure of the Beluga would be required. They would need to have some kind of. They would need to have a way of better fuel scoop. They would also need to deal with the temperature issues, because obviously, better fuel. Well, I mean, I guess the better. I don't know. I think if they just made it to where you had a big, the next size up fuel scoop, you wouldn't have to stay in the star as long, and then the temperature issues wouldn't be that big of a deal. But then again, I mean, just the fact that the thing gets near to overheating when charging up the FSD. I don't know. It's a hard. That's something that the developers would have to start looking at. But the end result just needs to be something where I can fly this thing very similarly to my Phantom, and run in, fuel scoop, and then for high maneuverability situations, I can just pull out the fighter, run around on the fighter, land on the ground, take my samples and do all that stuff, investigate whatever it is I want to investigate, and then I dock with the Beluga, and away we go. I think that would be an amazing upgrade to this ship to make it to where you're using it for more than just bulk passenger freight. Like, that's not fun. This ship would be so much fun if they made it that way. And the Anaconda guys, I guess, would get the same thing, because you can put a fighter bay in the Anaconda. There's a bunch of different things where, the ships that have the ability to do the fighter bay thing would be a lot more versatile, because now your fighters can land, which makes ships with fighter bays much more exploration ready. And I think that would be really cool. And, as far as the fighters go, the only thing they need is they just need to have a landing gear added, and put the little blue light. Let's see. I'm trying to find a spot to land here. Oh, we found one. I was about to say we had one, and then it went away, but then it came right back. All right, so we just gotta grab a couple of samples of the concha here. I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna. I don't know. We might. We don't really have time to do the bacteria unless we get really lucky and all the concha is really close. And then maybe we could do the bacteria, but, bacteria is kind of boring. It all looks the same. And I'm not really worried about money. So for those of you who don't watch the series regularly, let me just make that clear. There's a lot of times where I just, look how big the freaking wings are on this thing. I would as much as I love the carrier, I would much rather just fly this around and then have a smaller ship for doing this part right here. Like, this is so cool. And imagine flying I've had a fighter bay in this, and I think this one does have a fighter bay in it. Maybe we'll play with that for a second. Because the ship doesn't go anywhere. This would provide so much more coolness if we could just do it. Because I would love to be able to just bring the ship to, say, I don't know, or just either leave it in orbit or just bring it down here, hop down into our fighter here, deploy our fighter, The ship just hangs out right here. Down we go. And then we hop down here to the surface. Well, if I don't die, I'm not sure why that is. Because the throttle somehow got put all the way to 100%. That was not my fault, I swear. But anyways, we could do like this, fly around, get all of our samples and stuff, land in the fighter, and then when we're done, if we go far enough away that the ship gets sent off, we call it back, and then boom. It'd be nice if the ship follows us. I don't know if it does, but it would be nice if the ship follows us. And then, okay, let's see. Is there request docking?
Fighter retrieval sequence initiated.
And then we hop over here. Hop over here and we do our docking.
Fighter docking sequence initiated.
And then off we go to the next planet. Like, this would be such a fun sequence to do. And yeah, obviously anything you do a lot's going to get old after a while. But this is like a, this would be much more fun than what we typically do. It would just be so much more fun. And all it would require is just modifying the model for the fighters to give them a landing gear, and modifying the Beluga a little bit to give it a little bit more capability, preferably a bigger frame shift drive to allow it to jump more. Something at least comparable to the Anaconda. And then, that's all it would really need. bigger fuel scoop, bigger FSD, and that's it. That's all it would need. That's all it would need. I mean, the heat management issues would more or less go away with the fact that you're not having to sit in the star as long, or just make it to where we can mitigate the heat better, so that the FS or the fuel scoop that we're stuck with isn't such a it doesn't make it a problem. You can sit in the star a little bit longer, and it's not going to cause you to take a bunch of damage because you can't handle it. So, you know, I always try to provide solutions to things that I don't like. I think that even if they didn't completely change it to make it so that you could have something like a Sidewinder or a really small or an Eagle or something like that able to fit in there, just modifying the fighters to be able to land, and you know you can get out of it, would make things, you know, way more interesting for those of us who aren't really interested in the whole SRV thing. Just saying. I think it would be a really cool idea. It would be a lot of fun. It would make the fighters useful because like there's a lot of people who just want to bring a fighter along to have something fun to play with. And how much more fun would your fighter be if it actually served a practical purpose and you actually had a real reason to regularly pull it out? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I would absolutely. I love the Beluga. I think it's a really cool ship just in its own right. I think it looks really good. I think it flies really good for the size that it is. And you know, for stuff like this where we need to go into you know, difficult terrain areas, if we could use the fighters for this part, that would be amazing. But yeah, I think that this is going to go ahead and close out our episode. Hopefully you guys had lots of fun. Be sure to click the like button to help the video spread out to more people. Give them a chance to subscribe. I would like you to also help us reach 10,000 subscribers by hitting that subscribe button yourself. As I said before, that number doesn't go up unless you actually press the button. So go ahead and do that now. I am trying to artificially spread out the exit here because we need time to scan this, and I want to give you guys an exit shot of the ship. If you'd like to support our work here, you can join the channel as a member, or which will give you early access to videos among other perks, depending on which of the tiers you choose. Or you can just leave YouTube's version of a tip with the thanks button. So again, thank you very much for joining us on this episode of the Deep Space Carrier series. Be sure to come back for our next big space whale episode, and I'll see you then.